natin ngayon because in this live stream video, we will be talking about the Binibining Pilipinas Swimsuit Portraits and who are among the, who among the candidates this year actually did well in terms of their glam shot. Not necessarily glam shot, in terms of their swimsuit photos. So, please make sure to stay tuned because I will make sure to have this to have this live stream as fast as and as quick as we can. Okay, so welcome Rodvin, welcome to everyone who is joining us this evening. And I do hope na mag-enjoy kayo dito sa content natin for this evening because this is going to be very interesting because I have been looking at the Binibining Pilipinas pageant and monitoring it very closely and doon sa months ng February to March, a lot of the content that you're seeing now have been actually shot during those months. So it was during their February and March na kasalukuyan at that time very quiet yung Binibining Pilipinas activities that I saw a lot of the girls shooting for their national costumes, shooting for their swimsuit portraits. I am not sure kung meron silang evening gown na na-shoot during the month of March, but I do know that for their trip to Pangasinan, they were supposed to have some shoots there wearing their gowns. So, abangan natin kung anong kinalabasan nung shoot na yun. So, anyway, so, hello Rodvin. Yes, I know, sabay kami ni Tita. It just so happened that her content is going to be focused on Miss Universe Philippines. Mine is on Binibining Pilipinas. I am going to do perhaps Miss Universe Philippines in a day or two, probably this Friday. Gusto ko munang paghandaan yung content ko on that and look at the interviews, look at the preliminary swimsuit and evening gown performances. I am not particularly very nakatutok doon sa MUPH today. Although I've seen, in passing several clips, several videos on social media and pansin ko yung alin dun sa mga candidates yung medyo malinis yung performance. I am more, I was more, what do you call this? Mas natutukan ko yung pagkadilim ng stage rather than the performances. So I want to look at the videos in a bigger screen later on to really nitpick doon sa performance ng mga girls. I don't want to do that in a video in this live session because tingin ko baka mayroon pa akong ma-pick up na mga nuances of the performance ng mga candidates if I look at it on a brighter na screen, on a more HD na screen. So I'm probably gonna hook up my phone to the flat screen TV that I have here at house and dun ko siya panonoorin. In that way, I am able to really, look at the candidates and their performances and not really be hindered by not seeing, the more details of their performances. Ayun. So this evening, as I said, medyo relaxed ang natin, ang what do you call this? Relax ang live stream natin because we are going to do this leisurely but at a brief na pace so that hindi rin tayo masyado mahaba yung ating screen time this evening. I would like to point out that this year's Binibining Pilipinas swimsuit portraits were shot by Owen Reyes and Sir Raymond Saldaña of Clickbox. They are really masters of their game. Alam nila kung paano kumuha ng magagandang photos and we have already associated Binibining Pilipinas with a certain aesthetics, and this is largely because of the talent of these photographers in bringing us, really world-class quality na photography. It's no joke that international competitions like Miss Supranational, like Mr. International, and several other international competitions. Miss International, which is based in Japan, also takes takes what do you call this? Or rather, the MI organization also asks these two photographers, Sir Raymond and Owen Reyes, to take photos of their candidates. So it's not a secret that these two photographers, especially Sir Raymond, has already cemented themselves as the premier photographers when it comes to pageant glam shot images here in the Philippines, and they're expanding. They're actually doing a lot of photography for international competitions. At one point, they were the official photographers for Miss Intercontinental when it was held here in 2019 for the 2018 edition. So I've also mentioned Supranational, Mr. International, and Miss International na mga pageants. So hindi siya katakataka that their photography has always been the benchmark for every other photography, pageant photography in the country. In terms of the swimsuits this year, the white swimsuits that is worn by the 40 candidates is created by Dia Ali, Philippines, by Justine Aliman. So, yung styling na ginawa doon sa kanilang what do you call this, kanilang swimwear was done by Macky Combe and Sir Patrick Henry. And I really love the fact that yung white really jumps off doon sa tropical theme nila na shoot with with the um, white wall and the circular window peeping in yung mga tropical na mga plants to create a really very summery feel for the swimsuit shots this year. It's different. It's quite very different from the orangey na tinted na swimsuit shoot ng Binibining Pilipinas last year. This time around, you see very clean na styling and very leveled up in terms of yung feel and look nung photography and nung styling. It looks very clinical, but at the same time, it's not devoid of personality, or it's not lacking in terms of visual interest. However, collectively as a group, I feel that compared to this year, the girls this year gave stronger faces, stronger facial expressions in their photographs. But last year, I think that yung batch ni na Gabby, ni na Nicole Borromeo, they gave us stronger poses. I think yung limitation nung circular na window doon sa photography nila this year was a challenge for the girls, and I understand na a lot of the girls that I'm going to mention who are on the notable list have strong faces but very weak na body positions, and I will discuss that a little bit later on. With regards naman doon sa comparison between the swimsuit portraits ng Miss Universe Philippines versus the Binibining Pilipinas, I understand that there is a difference in terms of the photography. I just noticed that in terms of yung variety, in terms of spice nung mga photographs that was released by the Miss Universe Philippines as compared to Binibining Pilipinas, I felt that only several girls in the MUPH na roster of candidates had really very good and strong na body positioning ng kanilang mga pictures. Some angles are not flattering, which is the opposite doon sa Binibining Pilipinas. And given that there are some weak na body angling on some Binibining Pilipinas candidates, if you compare that to those of the MUPH, I just feel that mas elevated yung Binibining Pilipinas in terms of overall photography, in terms of overall feel of the candidates, and I feel that a lot of the candidates were glammed up in order for them to, or rather, in order for everyone to really see yung beauty and glamour nung photography. So I really am very much impressed with that. Now, Rodvin, um, sabi ni Rodvin is, anyway sir, I saw the swimsuit portraits ng Binibining Pilipinas in fair. I like their concept this year, malinis and fresh tignan, which is exactly what I'm trying to say. It's very clean, very not necessarily clinical, but very well thought of yung execution. Now, let's go on and start with our notables list in terms of the candidates this year. I feel that karamihan ng mga girls this year are on equal playing field. I don't necessarily see that there is just one or two or even like a handful of girls who are doing well above everybody else. I don't see a front runner at this point in time because yung listahan ko ng best faces that I've published, several weeks before prior, um, is not necessarily the same list that I have for the best swimsuit photos. So it only goes to show that this batch of candidates are very underrated, and this batch of candidates at this point in time have very varying degrees of competitiveness, and they might not necessarily deliver on the photographs, on the glam shots, but they did much better in this swimsuit na portraits, and vice versa. There are some who did well in the swimsuits na mga photos, but not necessarily they had the best headshots. So I think that this year we will see a really competition who makes the top list of Binibining Pilipinas this year. So with that being said, I think that maganda yung magiging laban ng Binibining Pilipinas this year because everyone is in a level playing field. And now, let's go on to our notables na list. First on my list is actually Trisha Martinez. Trisha is one of those girls na siya yung isa sa pinaka facially gorgeous. Let's just pull up her photo sandali. Uh, the thing that I've noticed with Trisha's photos is that facial wise, in terms of her face, wala kang maipintas. She really did deliver on the face department. Really good, really good na tawag nito na na I should have done this earlier. There. Okay, so this is Trisha's I don't think you can see it. Um, it's okay. I hope that you can see it in the video. But Trisha's photo is a very good study of facial features. In terms of ganda, wala kang maipintas. However, the very bland na posing is something that she should work on. Kasi nagmumukhang straight yung body niya without the additional shapes that she can create in terms of yung kanyang body positioning. I think the problem with her posing here is not actually because she doesn't have a, okay, I don't think you can see it. I don't think it's because of she has bad posture or bad posing, but the one that was chosen for her na photograph is just straight head on. there are some girls na would opt to have, an angling of the body to create more curves, to create more, what do you call this, to create more angles. But Trisha did not do that in her photo, and I think that that's a misstep because ang ganda na nung mukha, sana sinabayan ng katawan. The next on the list that actually is something that I hope na na medyo naiba yung posing, is Kiara Giel, Gregorio. Again, I am not sure if you can see yung kanyang there. Pag there. Kiara, the issue that I have with Kiara is not actually her face, but rather because of her angling ng kanyang katawan, nawala yung kanyang leeg. And it's very important that you showcase, yung leeg mo, especially if the shot is quite, tight, and it's showing a little bit, maybe it's showing a little bit more of your curves and your entire body. And it's important sa mga headshot yung magpakita ka ng leeg because it will create a longer na proportions for you. Kiara is, I think, 5'7.5", or around 5'7", 5'8" in height, and that is an advantage in terms of pageants because height is might, as they say. But it's also important that you stretch your neck so that it looks longer. And I think mas maganda sana yung tawag ito, mas maganda sana yung kinalabasan na kanyang photo had she pull her hair up in a bun or in a ponytail, so that mas exposed yung neck and mas exposed yung tawag ito, yung contours na kanyang katawan. I think that the main issue here in her photo is not actually her face, but rather the positioning of her body because she needs to create more curves. Yung I think it's dun sa kanyang photo, yung kanyang leg positioning is something that needs to be worked on as well. Next in the list is actually Albay's Jean Isabelle Bilasano. Jean Isabelle, or Belle, is actually one of the more pretty faces in the competition this year. She has a really, really very gorgeous and very tiny na face, and you can see that in the photo. Unfortunately, yung photo niya, I would have wanted that she had angled yung kanyang butt, arched her back a little bit more so that mas magkaroon ng curve siya on her hip and her buttocks na area. That way, mas maraming curves ang magawa doon sa kanyang photographs because in terms of yung kanyang katawan, in terms of yung kanyang face, hindi nagtutugma yung energy. If you look at the photograph from her waist up, it's perfection. Yung kanyang lower extremities, she just needed to arc her back a little bit more para mas magkaroon ng curves sa kanyang hip and buttocks na area. Then we have Julia, what do you call this? Julia Mendoza. Let me just pull up her. Again, much like my issue with Isabelle is that I don't have any problem with her face. In fact, I think yung very vulnerable na face na pinapakita ni Julia dito is one of the stronger na mga faces in the entire set of photographs, of swimsuit photographs. I just think that, again, much like Belle, if she arched her back a little bit more, mas magkakaroon ng curves and curvature yung kanyang photograph. And I think that's that's something that could have worked on. And probably yung kamay niya yung kanyang I think yung kanyang left hand na kamay had I just find the positioning of the hand a little bit weird. Perhaps kung nakaganyan ng konti yung kanyang kamay, then it would have looked more graceful on photographs. Then I also have among my notables list, Zeah Nestle pala, who is one of the most gorgeous girls in the competition. I'm sorry if hindi siya mag-zoom maayos. Um, Zeah actually has one of the, if I'm not mistaken, baka siya pa nga yung pinakamagandang mukha sa buong batch this Binibining Pilipinas 2023. However, I don't see her working yung kanyang mga angles doon sa kanyang swimsuit na photograph. I understand that this photograph has been taken early on in the competition at around the month of March, but I think at that time medyo raw yung mga girls. They still needed some additional coaching on on positioning and creating curves on photographs and making angles, because a lot of them, I have an issue on the way that they position their bodies in their photographs. Not a lot of girls really had strong posing skills from what I see. But in terms of yung kanilang mga faces, facial expressions, ganyan, wala akong nakikitang weak weak na mga candidates. In fact, I think a lot of the girls know how to express themselves on camera. It's just that the angling ng mga nandito sa notables ko, may nakikitaan akong konting need for better body angles. And then finally, on my list ng mga notables is Katrina and Johnson, who is just a smidge na lang and nasa top 12 ko na siya ng best photographs. I think Katrina, the only problem that I had here with Katrina's photo is yung kanyang it's one is the positioning of her what do you call this, the positioning of her left hand that made it look shorter than it actually is, and that's the power of angles. With angles, with different different ways to position your body, you can make an area, your neck look longer, or your tawag ito, or your back more arched, so that you can create more curvature on the buttocks. And also, I noticed that in terms of face, wala tayong problema with Katrina. She's one of the most beautiful girls in Binibining Pilipinas this year. But I would have also wanted that for her swimsuit photograph, she would have you know mas nag-arch siya ng kanyang back so that the chest would look higher. So that it would look more not robust, but it looks more perky yung kanyang posture, rather than yung kanyang angle dito, that her chest looks like it's hunched a little bit. So I think it's just the need to just throw your shoulders back a little and pull your chest up so that it looks much more well composed yung photograph. Yan. So before we make it to our top 10, basa lang ako sandali ng mga comments ninyo. Zaldi Paulino, I'll go with Gianna Llanes for Binibining Pilipinas Globe 2023. Gianna is one of our top list in the swimsuit, the photograph. So, hintay ka lang konti and pag-uusapan natin yan. Amara Silvera is here. Hello, Ciao from Italia. Buona notte from here in Manila. I hope it's good morning there sa inyo, because it's good evening dito sa amin sa Pilipinas. Zaldi Paulino, sabi niya, hello po and good evening. Ayan. So, let's move on because I want to make sure that kasi mahaba ang listahan na to. This is the first time that I'm doing a list of 12 girls, and usually kapag gumawa ako ng list ng 12 girls, masyado mahaba yung mga explanation, and ayokong umabot tayo ng more than an hour for this live stream. First on my top 12 list, on my number 12 is I have Paulina Labayo, Binibini number 4 in my list. And the beauty about Paulina's photo, as you can see, is super linis niyang tignan. The movement nung eyes mo from the photograph, from her face to her hand to the positioning of her leg, down to to every bit of the styled pearls on her torso really gives a very impeccable, very relaxed, but at the same time, very statuesque na photograph. That's what you see in her image, in her picture. And that is why, one of the reasons why naungusan niya yung mga nasa notable list ko on the best photographs, because yung composition ng kanyang posing is really very well done. She looks like she was effortless in taking her photo. At number 11, I have Binibining Pilipinas, candidate number 36. Her name is, oops, sorry, that's there. She's from Bataan, and you have here Chiles, Balana. Okay, there. Love her photograph. Yung kanyang expression sa kanyang mukha is really, really very pristine. It has an element of fierceness in the way that she gazes at the camera, but at the same time, she also has a very relaxed and queenly manner of channeling her, yung channeling her through her in the photo. And ang maganda pa dito is that she angled her photo so that she looks like mas meron siyang chest than she actually has. So mas mukha siyang may curves on that area because of the way that she angled her body. You have to remember that in illustration and even in photography, the best angle that you can take is always on the 3/4 na angle, which shows part of the front, the side, and parts of the back of the person. And I think Paulina really did Chiles pala, really did a marvelous job in this. I only wish that she would have arched her back a little bit more para mas magkaroon ng buttocks yung kanyang image. Magkaroon ng rounder na buttocks sa kanyang photograph. Ayan. At number 10, I have Rheema Adakkoden, who is Binibining Pilipinas, number 26. Let me just pull up her photo. And what I love about Rheema is her color, her skin tone. And Rheema has a very interesting skin tone. Very dusky, very chocolatey na very dark chocolate na kulay, at ang ganda ng kulay niya when it is, kapag binangga mo sa puti. There are a lot of skin tones na ang puti bumabagay dependent on the undertones of somebody else's skin. Yung gamit na puti ni Rheema ng mga candidates this year has a very bluish undertone. And ito yung kind of puti na hindi lahat ng mga skin tones kayang dalhin. She's able to pull it off because she has a very, dusky na complexion, and at the same time, she also exudes, confidence in her, in her pose. The good thing here is that Rheema's skin actually complements the bluish undertones of her swimsuit, because if you look at Rheema, she has a orange undertone sa kanyang skin. And that is a good thing because the exact opposite of blue in the color spectrum is actually orange, and they complement each other. And this is the reason why Rheema is on the list. Then at number 9, I have Binibining Pilipinas candidate number 23. Zoe Bernardo Santiago, and you really have to include her in the list because aside from a very curvaceous na body, she doesn't need to do a lot because she already has a very curvy na katawan. She's, I think, 36, 25, 37 or 38. I think that's her vital statistics. With that kind of vital statistics, you don't need to be overtly sexual or sexy in your poses. And that is evident doon sa post ni Zoe, which is pretty much very safe and very appropriate for her body type. When you have a curvy-licious na body like hers, you really need to dial down on the sexiness. And instead, what Zoe did, and what she really did well on these photographs, is to focus all of the attention on her face. Because yun yung pinakamalaking bentahe ni Zoe, is her really very cosmopolitan and very, very racially ambiguous na face, because Zoe is Spanish Filipina in her heritage. So kumbaga, meron siyang element na may pagka-Latina, but at the same time she has that Filipino, features that would really make her stand out in a sea of beauties. Kaya she's also one of the girls that I've included among the girls who has the best faces in Binibining Pilipinas this year. Really love the energy that she's exuding in this photo. It's not overly sexual because she's already sexy because of her very, very bootylicious and bodacious na body. But at the same time, she knows how to dial it down when necessary. And I think that is the reason why, hindi siya pwedeng matanggal doon sa list of best swimsuit na tawag ito, swimsuit na portraits in my list, because she really nailed her tawag ito, she really nailed her photograph. Okay? And then at number 8, we have the very gorgeous na si Angelica Lopez, who is our Binibining Pilipinas candidate number 6. Again, with Angelica has a very Filipina na kind of beauty, and she actually has one of the best proportions in this batch, kasi kapag tingnan mo si Angelica in person, she really has very long limbs. Maganda yung kanyang body proportions. Maliit yung mukha. Actually, if you look at her in person, she has one of the most smallest faces in the batch, and she has a very distinct na Filipina good look that she channels quite well. And in these photographs, I love the fact that nag-ponytail siya. Siya lang yata yung, or siya and, who else? I think there is only just around 2 or 3 girls na nag-ponytail in their swimsuit photos, and that was a great um, choice for Angelica, because the attention was on her face, not on her curls or not on her hair. Kasi yun yung isa sa mga reasons kung bakit marami sa mga girls who did well in my list ng best faces or best glam shot photos, wala dito sa listahan ko ng best swimsuit na shot, because yung kulot ng buhok nila nagiging distracting doon sa overall na look ng photo. You have to remember, very busy yung background nila with the white wall with a window kung saan nagpipick in yung mga tawag ito, yung mga tropical na plants, and with that, with that very busy na background, you need to pull the attention on you, on the girl, and that is the challenge, I believe, of this photo shoot. Kasi in terms of yung idea na kinakailangan mong mag-stand out from your background, you really need to pull in the audience with the way that you pose, and at the same time the way that you angle your face so that yung face mo yung unang titignan, and that is what Angelica's photo is doing for me. Her photo really makes me look at her and look at the way the pearls fall from her neck to her body. super ganda nung positioning niya kasi makikita mo yung kanyang chest na area, makikita mo yung kanyang waist na maliit, makikita mo yung kanyang hips and buttocks na may kurbada. So that is, her photo is actually a study of curves despite the fact that even if ang tinitignan mo is yung kurbada ng katawan niya, you will always be magnetized and look at her face because it all goes back to that area of the photograph. Then, at number 7, we have Binibining Pilipinas candidate number 3, Lyra Punsalan. Lyra is one of the underrated the mga girls in this competition from in my perspective. I'm sorry about that. It's not showing on there. Um, there. Anyway, you can look at the Binibining Pilipinas website or their socials for a comprehensive look at their photos. And what really got me in this hooked in this photo is the way that the hair goes well with the body positioning, the way that it goes well with the layers of curls around her neck, and hindi umaaway yung kanyang image with the overall composition of the photograph. You can really look at yung face dito ni Lyra, and you really are going to be treated with a very well composed na body positioning dun sa kanyang photograph because you would look at her hair, yung straightness ng kanyang hair plus yung straight na fall ng kanyang neck na kanyang mga pearls sa kanyang leeg would really draw your eyes in doon sa movement that is created because of that. And that is the reason why she makes one of the best photos in this batch. My only wish was that she should have arched her neck a little bit higher so that mas magkaroon ng magkaroon ng illusion of longer neck yung kanyang photograph because yung neckline niya dito masyadong maiksi if I may criticize yung kanyang photograph. There's a little need for her to arch her neck a little bit higher so that mas magkaroon ng linya yung kanyang neckline. So I think other than that, her positioning is one of the best. Her photograph is one of the best in her batch. Now, let's take a break from the list before and read some comments before we go into the top 6 of my list of best swimsuit shots. Okay? Here we have CC. May balita po ba if co-host pa rin si Nicole sa Binibining Pilipinas Finals? I think she is still the co-host ni Katrina for the Binibining Pilipinas Finals. I don't think na may pagbabago on that end because from what I have been hearing is that there are rumors that for the finals it's still going to be the tandem of Nicole and Kat for the finals. And I've also been hearing na there's a possibility that SB19 is nililigawan ng SB19 to perform on the finals. So, hintayin natin yon. I don't want to preempt because because that is at this point in time is still a rumor na magpe-perform ang SB19. Zalbi Paulino, tanong niya, since palapit na po ng palapit Coronation Night ng Binibining Pilipinas 2023, wala po bang new crown ang Binibining Pilipinas this year? That I am not sure. I have already exhausted mga connections within the organization kung ano o kung merong mang new crown. So for now, the ones that I am sure of, or rather the ones that we can rely on is the three titles that they currently have, Intercon, International, and Globe. I know that for a fact that maraming nagtatanong about Intercontinental, kung sa kanila pa ba. If my sources stands that they still have, a tawag ito, a legal and binding contract with Intercontinental for the franchise here, unless Intercon has bought out that contract. I think it's safe to say na sa kanila pa rin yung title. CC, with regards to the press presentation, yes, there will be a press presentation. It is likely that it's not going to be in Novotel anymore. From the rumors that I've heard, the swimsuit, the press presentation is going to happen in New Frontier Theater. And doon ako may konting kaba because alam nyo naman, ang New Frontier Theater, medyo may kadiliman. Hindi siya meant for a lot of mga events na kinakailangan maliwanag. So I'm a bit, I'm a bit skeptical because NFT has very very dim na lighting. Very bluish yung kanilang mga lights na ginagamit sa NFT. So I am hoping na they would add lights going to the stage, spotlighting on the stage para hindi magmukhang washed out yung mga girls. I think yung NFT, the problem there is that it is meant for theatrical na production, so the lighting is more for theatrics rather than for pageantry. So that's but then again, that's my worry. I am hoping that it would translate well on screen, na hindi siya mumukhang madilim. I am hoping that hindi backlit yung stage for the press presentation because from what I heard, yung press presentation will happen during the day. So it might again be press only na event for Binibining Pilipinas na press presentation. With regards to the Parade of Beauties, I have no clue kung kailan siya mangyayari. Definitely, wala nang panahon for a Santa Cruzan. That is what I've heard. But yung Parade of Beauties, tuloy siya, but I don't know kung kailan yung kanyang date. It might happen days before the mismong finals, the mismong coronation night. They cannot move their coronation night because they have already published yung kanilang exact na coronation night on the 28th. So that is final. The Parade of Beauties, I'm still waiting for updates on that end. The press presentation might happen next week. But we'll see kasi wala pa tayong nag-receive na invite. So, hintayin muna natin yung confirmation on that. Okay, so let's move on to the top 6 of my list for best swimsuit na photos. Because this is very interesting because the top 6 really, for me, is the ones na pag pinagtabi-tabi mo lahat ng mga photo, sila yung namumukutanging nag-stand out. Number 6 on our list is I have Binibining Pilipinas candidate 24 from Bataan, Ana Valencia Lacrini. If you look at her photo, she really looks like Isa Calzado in her glam shot photo. And ang ganda nung kanyang facial expression, malambot, very ethereal yung china-channel niyang face. I do hope that yung kanyang body positioning magkaroon ng mas magkaroon ng softness because I find yung kanyang pose a little bit stiff. So para sana bumalanse yung very soft, ethereal na facial expression with her body positioning. Mas maganda sana kung nagtugma yung energies, nagtugma yung softness ng face with the body because medyo parang tuod pa din yung kanyang uh, positioning, yung kanyang pose for her photograph. And I think that's one of the areas na kinakailangan na tawag ito na ayusin ni Ana because she registers quite stiffly even on stage na very modelesque. Definitely yung kanyang aura on stage but not very queenly and kinakailangan pang palambutin yung katawan niya para tawag ito para mas magmukhang graceful yung kanyang mga photographs and yung kanyang movements. I think she would be perfect for intercontinental because Anna is half German and it's a German-based na or rather German-owned na pageant. So siguro mapalambot naman siguro ng puso ni Miss Intercontinental Organization kapag nagpadala tayo German blooded na Filipina doon sa competition na yon. Number 5 I have on my list is Binibining Pilipinas candidate number 8 Mirhan Hipolito. Mirhan really gave her all in her photo. And just look at the face. I mean, the facial expression alone really gives you, very Filipina, very sultry Filipina na look. And without even trying, just by leaning forward, mas nagmukha siyang bombshell. Mas nagmukha siyang Filipina bombshell doon sa kanyang photo. And there is such a strong sense of fierceness, magnetism, and sensuality in her photo that kapag tinitignan mo siya, mas lalo mong gustong tignan ng mas matagal yung kanyang photograph. And I think that is really something for Mirhan. I'm rooting for this girl because she's been very consistent from day one. Hindi siya nagpapahuli sa listahan wherever there is mga listahan ng sino yung mga nagde-deliver consistently in the competition. Love the movement doon sa kanyang photograph because her photograph, although it is a still photograph, it exudes movement because it seems like Mirhan is jumping out of from the photograph. Yung positioning niya na nasa likod siya nung white wall with the circular na window, and then it looks like she's breaking through together with the plants from that window. A very very smart na pose and positioning because siya lang yung gumawa nung ganong klaseng what do you call this, nung ganong klaseng pose. And it really cemented her kapag tinignan mo siya yung photograph niya in a lineup. At number 4 I have yung si Binibining Pilipinas candidate number 15 Jessilyn Salvador. Jessilyn, as I said, is one of the best faces in the competition. Sadali lang. There, yung kanyang body positioning, very confident, very self-assured, yung kanyang the way that she positioned her body, and yung konting tilt ng kanyang waist to create a very small na waist allows you to have a really strong composition doon sa kanyang photograph. Simpleng naka-open yung kanyang body position. Her arms are spread out, but yung kanyang katawan is tilted to a 3/4 degree, tapos nakaangat yung kanyang buttocks ng slightly to create curves, to create the illusion of curves. And I think that is that is a good thing that she did because during the sustainability fashion event that they had earlier last month, nabanggit ko sa kanya na in order to create, a slimmer look and a longer na rehistro sa camera, always tilt your katawan, your body in a three-fourths angle, and that will help you create the illusion of um, curves, because it shows a little bit of your hips and your buttocks in the in you know in that angle, and she did that spectacularly here without losing control of her face, because yung energies from her face to her body is evenly matched. Super super linis kumbaga nung kanyang execution ng kanyang photograph. Very there is a relaxed and very queenly manner in the way that she posed for her Binibining Pilipinas photograph. And I think that is, really, really great way of, taking control of the photograph. And she did exactly just that. And then, we have at number 3, ayan, dito medyo magkakaiba tayo ng mga nasa listahan natin, because I think that the movement by Juvel Bea, Binibining Pilipinas candidate number 1, is one of the better na body poses in the entire roster of swimsuit photographs. I think yung kanyang position to have her legs at the profile na angle, but waist up, naka three-fourths yung kanyang body angle, made her shoulders look wider, the waist smaller, and then it created curves on the buttocks, on the legs, and the way that her knee is bent. So you see so many shapes. You see curves in every turn of her position, mula sa kanyang yung how her hand is bent towards her head, how her other hand is holding, the circular window, and the way that her head is tilted so that she has a little bit more neck in the photograph. It is all done perfectly, and I think that is one of the reasons kung bakit siya yung number 3 sa listahan namin, dahil she did her photo well. Her pose was well done. It allowed us to focus on the different areas of her photograph without losing the focus on herself in the photograph. And then at number 2, I have Binibining Pilipinas candidate number 5, Jana Lianes. Okay, Gianna really did very well in this photograph, in my opinion, because she has one of the most she had one of the most how did I say this, yung kanyang photograph, in as much as you will want to focus on her face, because that is her, yun yung pinakabentahe ng entire photograph na ito. Kapag tinignan mo actually on zoom, pag zoom in mo yung photograph, I am much more mesmerized with her neck and her body positioning. Kasi Gianna, as you all know, is around 5'5", 5'6", and yung kanyang yung kanyang photo makes her look like she's 5'7" and higher and taller. And I think the way that she allows yung kanyang neck to be tilted a little bit higher, so that mas magkaroon siya ng illusion of neck. Tapos the way that she stretches her shoulder and her body, as if she is pulling herself up in her photograph, mas nagmukhang lean yung kanyang katawan. And when your body looks leaner in photographs, you look taller as a result. And that is exactly what Gianna was doing in her photo. Pag tinignan mo yung kanyang photograph, hindi ka mauubusan ng kurbada doon sa kanyang picture, because there's a lot of curves that is seen despite having a very busy na pearl neck piece that is covering much of her body. And I think yung yung composition na she wore two-piece with the very busy na necklace allowed the tawag ito a counterbalance kumbaga yung very sexy na swimsuit with the more covered up na tawag ito na na neck piece. And I think that's the reason kung bakit very decente lumabas yung kanyang photo. If you look at her photo, I love the fact that yung very straight na hair, hindi tinatakpan or hindi nagiging hindrance to stare at her face. It doesn't take too much attention away from her face, and I think that is the reason why she is number two in our list of best swimsuit photos in this batch. Now, syempre, punta na tayo sa number one. Okay. At number one, this girl has not been in my previous list of best face or even best best headshot. But for this particular photo, she nailed it so well that unang pasada pa lang nung tinignan ko yung mga photographs ng mga Binibining Pilipinas candidates, siya yung namumukod tanging pinaka attention grabbing for me because Binibining Pilipinas candidate number 16, Atasha Rain Parani is my number one. I mean, just look at the photo, the movement ng eyes mo from her hand going to her face, going to her body, going to the end, to the bottom of the photograph. May S-line na nangyayari, may S-curves na nangyayari, and her face is very intense. At the same time, hindi umaaway yung kanyang straight hair. In fact, it enhances yung very intense na gaze niya sa camera. And I think that is the reason why this photograph is the best among the 40 candidates this year. This is the reason why I think this is my favorite swimsuit na photograph among all the candidates this year because super ganda ng composition, nung shape that she created. Imagine that you have a negative space behind her back. Yung yung circular window plus the blue background plus the tropical plants behind her, and then you have yung kanyang what do you call this, kanyang image that is namumukod tanging naglilip out from the background because of her body positioning, the intensity of her, of her facial expressions, plus the way that, she stares deeply into the camera. I think that is the reason why, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na hindi ito yung best na photo. The cutout as well doon sa kanyang swimsuit, the way that she exposed that made her look like she has more curves, made her look like mas balingkinitan pa yung kanyang katawan because of yung cutouts on the sides. And this is the reason why the 3/4 angle would never do you wrong in a photographic composition because it allows to showcase, the best of the woman's body, her curves, her waist, her hips, her the musculature of her leg. And I think that overall, yung image dito ni tawag ito ni Atasha is somewhat reminds me of this Venezuelan supermodel. Her name is Josie Chan. Na I think she applied for Miss Venezuela but got rejected for whatever reason. And naging viral siya because of that, because at some point everybody was saying that she's one of the better na mga girls na nag-apply that year. Fortunately, she had success more as a model because I think that is the same, intensity that Atasha is channeling in her photograph. She is channeling supermodel realness doon sa kanyang photo. And I think for whatever reason, magdebate man tayo doon sa doon sa sino sa tingin natin yung favorite natin or sino yung pinakamaganda yung composition ng kanilang photograph. Ipaglalaban ko itong si Atasha for her being in my number one list. Ayan. Before we continue, let's read some additional mga comments, and then we'll wrap it up just shortly. Nasaan na ba tayo? Lord Lena, regards sa lahat. Sir, I'm late. You've mentioned AVL for Intercontinental. Nasa BBP na ba again ang rights for MIC? As I've said earlier, they have the legal papers for it. So, if i-push nila yung Intercon, I think they are within their rights unless unless Intercontinental bought the contract away from Binibining Pilipinas. Marites Martinez, Doc Trisha, Laguna, Crown and Heart. I've mentioned Trisha in our notable list. She had a very pretty na photograph but very bland yung kanyang pose. That is why she is, just within the perimeters of our best 12 na photos. I think had she had more angles at hindi lang yung straight on na front view yung kanyang photograph, she would have been in the top 5 of our list, because what we're looking at a swimsuit photograph is the way that the candidate showed curves, showed angles, showed poses in her photograph, because that is essentially creating interest in your photograph. Jam Amihan, out of topic po. Reaction niyo po kung manalo si Natasha Joubert sa Miss South Africa at siya ulit ang ipadala sa Miss Universe. If ganon, parang Miss Earth ang peg. Jam Amihan, I think I've mentioned it in my IG stories today, that among Jordan, among Jordan, Natasha, and Melissa. Those are three repeaters from batch 2020. Ang favorite ko is Melissa Nayimuli. Melissa is a strong speaker. She has a very, deep way of communicating. And I think between her and Natasha, I think I am going for Melissa. Tomorrow I will be posting a quick video on Melissa, just so you have an idea what I'm talking about. I will be posting it in both Facebook and Instagram para magkaroon kayo ng idea kung ano yung sinasabi ko with regards to her to her speaking ability and the way that she exudes charisma and magnetism on video. And that is just a speaking video. Hindi pa kasama yung performance. I think on that aspect, hihintayin ko kung sino yung magpe-perform. But for now, I don't think that the crown is meant for Natasha. And if she is going to be crowned Miss South Africa, she might be going to Miss Supranational instead. And I don't think that she will be sent to Miss World because iba na yung there's a new franchise holder for Miss World South Africa. So it would be it would be more likely that if Natasha wins, she will be sent to Miss Supranational, and I don't think susugal ang Miss South Africa sa ganyan kasi ayaw nilang mawalan ng corona ng franchise sa Miss Universe if in case koronahan nila si Natasha. It is more likely that Natasha will end up again as a runner-up this year. I think that this time around, it's Melissa who's going to be my personal favorite for the crown this year. So that's it. Ayan, we're exactly 1 hour into our live stream. I was able to explain and deliver the content that I want to deliver for this evening. I just wanted to make this pahabol na live stream because hindi tayo nag live stream nung Saturday because I released yung interview ni Kiara, Giel, Gregorio. I do hope that you watch that interview to get to know more about this wonderful, lawyer who graduated in London and who took up masters in law as well. And very interesting yung kanyang journey from Miss Philippines Earth and now to Binibining Pilipinas. So, I would like to thank you all for joining us dito sa ating pa-live stream ngayon. This is a very, out of schedule na live stream, and in the next couple of days, I will be scheduling a review and a reveal of my Miss Universe Philippines picks. Maybe in around Friday or Thursday this coming Thursday or Friday. So pag-uusapan natin yung mga thoughts nyo on that, as well as yung mga thoughts ko on the preliminaries, who performed, what can we say about the girls na potential winners or winner ng Miss Universe Philippines later on. So thank you very much for everyone na nag-stay tuned sa ating dito sa ating live stream this evening. I know iilan lang tayo ngayon. I know that this is really out of our original schedule, but I do hope that come Friday or Saturday, mapag-usapan natin yung Miss Universe Philippines. I might do a post coronation live stream. So let's see how that goes. We'll think about the way that we're going to deliver that content later on. Okay? Thank you very much and have a great evening, everyone. Before we leave, sana mag-like kayo doon sa ating live stream ngayon so that yung mga team replay later on will be able to watch yung ating episode. Thank you very much for staying with us for the last hour, and I hope to see you in our next live stream. Bye everyone and take care.